How can you imagine? Well, how's that for a question? What do you do? I'm a.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the fourth video. In this video, we're going to have a discussion around a few motivational strategies that we've used with hundreds of people around the world in the past. And that's pretty much it. We're going to discuss accountability, and we're also going to discuss the importance of measuring your progress and how to do that the right way so you can stay motivated. Enjoy the discussion, and we'll talk to you soon. Cool, so we've got two common denominators when it comes to keeping people motivated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got accountability, and then we got progress. Now, in terms of progress, how do you help people in your settings see progress and make sure that they're actually making progress?
For me, it's making sure that they're looking for the right markers of progress and they're taking them at the right times and making sure they're consistent. You probably found the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you're taking weight, for instance, and you're measuring weight, body weight. Sometimes in the morning, sometimes you're taking it at night time. I've seen people take their weight right after drinking from the water bubbler. If you're looking for changes in weight, you've got to be a little bit more controlled than that. I mean, you don't have to
be super strict.
No,
but
that's
have
right.
some sort of a structure behind what you do. This morning at the gym, I saw, and guys and girls, be aware that you shouldn't do this when it comes to body weight and measuring this. This morning at the gym, this woman, she was doing a few sets of squats, running to the scales, the truth, checking her body weight, running back, doing a few more sets, running back to the scales, checking her weight again. Like literally within a 10-minute time span.
Yeah, I think that the key thing is, fat loss happens over a period of time. It's not something that happens within a day necessarily. Certainly not that you measure.
Yeah.
But also there are things that. Well, we can cut this. If your weight at the start of the day does not reflect what your weight's going to be at night time.
Yeah, because of food and water intake and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, what about circumference measurements?
Again, as long as you're taking the right landmarks and taking them in the right spot every time. So if you're taking your waist measurement and then the tape measure slips like 2 centimeters up or down, it's around about an inch.
Be problematic.
Well, yeah, you're measuring something different.
Yeah.
So it's consistency. So if you're going to weigh, maybe that's your body weight, weigh first thing in the morning, and that's just what you do
like
from then on.
Once a week, twice a week kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it consistent.
Right. If you're going to weigh in the morning, maybe don't weigh at night. And certainly don't weigh yourself multiple times through the day because that's pointless.
Yeah. That's just silly.
Yeah.
And we see that in the gym as well, where people come in, they take their body weight before their workout on purpose because
and then
of
after.
water. And then after, just in order to replenish the water they've lost and various solutions and stuff like that. But that's totally different.
Right, and if you drink something, you're weighing that on the scales as well.
Yeah.
So if you get on the scales and get off of them and drink some water and get back on them, you'll be weighing that water. You're going to be heavier because you just drunk some water.
Yeah.
But people don't necessarily always know that.
Okay, so in terms of actually making sure that they're seeing progress, we then got consistency, regardless of what it is, whether it's body weight. So once or twice a week, the same circumference measurements, maybe once a week.
The same landmarks, yeah. So make sure you're getting the same spot.
And what about progress photos?
Progress photos,
what we might see in the mirror.
Right. So again, you might take it at a similar time of day with similar lighting. You can take two pretty crazy, You can take two pretty different photos within the course of one day, just depending on what you're wearing, what you've eaten, where you are, what the lighting's like.
You can draw your tummy in, or you can blow it out, and you can position yourself differently.
Right, and that can all be very demotivating. It can be motivating if you get a good angle, if you get some good lighting.
Yeah.
But inevitably you'll go back to non-good lighting, and then once you've done that.
Okay, so if you take progress photos for someone in the clinic, or in a private setting, or in a program or whatever. How do you structure their positions? Like, do you take it from the back, the front, the side?
It can be all, as long as it's consistent. So if you're front, it's relaxed. Unless you choose to flex, in which case you'll flex every time. Lighting's always the same, time of day is always the same. Things if you keep things as consistent as possible, you get at least a pretty good gauge of progress.
Now, on that note, in terms of consistency, that's something that trumps everything. Consistency, whether it's training or nutrition, and the measurements you use in order to gauge your progress, whatever it is. And I think that stems from training for what you really want to train for, and not training for what someone tells you to. So we've seen sort of things are coming around a bit now. Like it's okay to train for bodybuilding again. Like there was a stigma around training for just looking good. Now that's sort of coming back, and that's okay again. But there was like, oh, you have to do powerlifting, or you have to chase like a max deadlift or max squat, and all that kind of bullshit. Like that's just horseshit. There's nothing else. But I think in terms of getting the consistency, keeping yourself accountable, it's training for what you really want to train for. Guys, like if you want to grow your guns and your chest and you don't want to grow your legs, that's fine. And girls, if you just want to grow your booty and maybe your shoulders or your arms, that's fine too. Like no one's there to dictate what you want to train for, like what's going to make you feel good, because that's essentially what's the most important. Right. As long as you have your overall health, obviously. But in terms of staying motivated, training for what excites you is going to be key.
Yep. So training for what you like, being consistent, and accountability.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you found. I know that I have found that when it comes to accountability, the major trick or major secret that I have is to tell the right amount of people what you're trying to do.
So what's the right amount of people?
Well, that depends. So if you tell nobody that you're trying to achieve some goal, it's up to you to motivate yourself. You may succeed, you may not, but if you don't, there's no real repercussions, right? So I mean, if you haven't told anybody, you can fail in silence and no one will ever know. Which isn't necessarily bad. I mean, we're not to say that failure is a bad thing, but
True.
But if you're trying to achieve a goal, accountability helps. If people know that you're after something, then it keeps you a little bit more honest. But if you tell too many people, you put yourself under pressure.
And if you tell too many people on social media, a lot of people do it because it's going to make them feel good. They're going to feel like they belong to a bigger part of a network. So I think being careful about putting like huge grand goals that might be, you've made them a bit bigger than what they should be, just because you know that a lot of people are going to see them, so you want to look a bit better for more people. Again, it's such a common thing that a lot of people do, whereas they should just scale that back a bit and still be realistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about putting, goals on Facebook on your social profile as an example, your personal profile?
Again, it can put the pressure on. If you tell too many people what you're trying to do, you run the risk, of finding people who are unsupportive. You want everyone who knows what you're doing to be supportive. But also you bring pressure upon yourself, because if 100 or 1,000 or 5,000, depending on how popular you are, people know what you're trying to do, and that puts some degree of pressure on you, then maybe you won't perform. But that's the secret. So telling enough people that people know what you're trying to do, supportive people, and will keep you accountable, keep you motivated, and keep you guided towards your goal. But not so many that you end up finding that you're crushed by the pressure of having to perform for these people, because now they expect something. They expect you to get this. And if too many people expect something in you, and you are afraid of perhaps failing or not quite meeting that goal, it can stop your motivation dead in its tracks.
And I think that's another important thing in terms of failure, is that it's okay to fail. Like you and I, we fail every day in business, in training, and with nutrition. We're not perfect. Like there's an 80-20 rule. You're good most of the time, but then you have your ups and downs. And I think it's really important for us as professionals, and the fact that we do this stuff ourselves as well. Like we both worked out this morning, we're eating foods, we got all this stuff that we do as well. And I think it's really important to communicate with you guys watching this that it's okay to fail, but never give up. It's such an incredibly important message when it comes to motivation. You're going to start your diet, it's going to be a week in, 3 weeks in, 6 weeks in. These are common time points. They might vary, but that's when people are going to start to find things hard. To start, it's really tough when you start. It's harder when you keep going for a while. And that's when you just got to keep buggering on. Yeah,
and if you're looking at things from a whole perspective, if you could choose one or two things between absolute perfection and consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time.
Absolutely. So 90%, hitting 90% of whatever it is that you're supposed to do, whether it be training or eating or whatever, sleep, over a long period of time will still trump doing things perfectly for a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of wraps up the motivational aspect of things. So making sure that you tell the right amount of people that are going to support you, that's going to be key. Adam and I, that's why we're here. That's what Prime Physique is. And making sure that you have set ways of measuring your progress. It could be circumference measurements, it could be body weight, it could be a DEXA scan, it could be progress photos. What else? Clothes, how they fit on your body. There's going to be a few different things, but as long as you train for what you want and you get the right help and you've got someone to keep you accountable, you should be pretty set. Cool. And I think that wraps up the discussion around motivation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the other side.